can. Alright. So the clones, or not clones, the seedlings have rooted. They are ready for their first pot. So yeah, let's start with the conditions in the humidity dome. The temperature probe is always a pain in the ass for the thermometer for the fucking heating pad. But the heating pad is very nice. If I let it get down to like 65 or whatever in there like it is out here, you know, it's just much more likely to grow mold and shit that would just kill them while they're very weak and fragile. So it's 99% humidity under the dome, which is appropriate, but since the probe got pulled out, it's a little warm. That's fine. Better warm than cold. You know, they didn't get too warm. So let's see. We have a shot of the roots peeking out. This is what we're looking for. There's roots peeking out. They're trying to go down into the water that's in the distilled water that's in the tray, which is exactly what I want so that I know when they've rooted, and to make sure they don't dry out. Now, we're going to be using, like, with clones, there would be a much larger plant here, and I could just kind of turn it upside down and shit. But these are real fragile, so I have to really fight my urge to rush this. It's its first root. It could go longer. They can root all the way out, like little ball of roots. That's fine, but I wanted to get this done and over with. Do a little bit of cyberpunk today, even though it's not my normal day to stream. We've already got our pot prepared for it. Done yet. This is a big part of the tech. The air pruning pot is a big part of the tech. Transplanting instead of starting it in its final pot is a big part of the tech. During this whole early veg state, we are trying to not make sure it stays wet, though it does need to stay moist. We're trying to make sure it gets maximum oxygen, which is what those little quarter-liter pots do so well. They're going to live in these for the next couple weeks. I'm going to put my humidifier in the tent since they won't be under the dome. And so what you do at transplant time to reduce shock, and in this case just inoculate them, you take these granular Mykos product. It's got the Mycorrizal. Oh yeah, no, this is definitely tech. Like, think about it in terms of like mushroom growing tech. But also, hey Wiz, it's good to see you. Yeah, just got back from the dispensary. I did not sleep at all last night. My doctor is gatekeeping my Lyrica, my nerve pain medicine that I've been on for 15 years. And I don't have enough to make it until Thursday when she wants to do a video consult. She's like, I didn't know you had fibromyalgia. No, you told me not to go over what I talked to the lady at the other clinic about because you were going to read that. And thus I didn't. You wanted to talk about my transition because my doctor is trans. And so she's extremely papega about me transitioning. That's all she wanted to talk about. But she's my general practitioner. She's an internal medicine doctor. So she does my endocrinology. So like, she should be perfect, but like, this caught her blindsided, so I'm dealing with the whole gatekeeping thing. So yeah, I had to, like, it hurt, but I had to go to the dispensary to try to make sure I get at least some sleep. But I got an indica to help me, you know, wind down and sleep through the pain. Not like the type of sativa, like, also, I just go through so much sativa, it's not even funny. Or, you know, what you call sativa, what I call AM weed, because, like, for instance, the lithium OG Kush is an indica. It's a very short plant, and it's still very up, in effect, very energetic, very mood lifting. Let me inoculate this fucker. Sprinkle it really liberally. the granular Mykos, it has to come in contact with the roots in order to inoculate the roots. Got our soil here. I tossed just a little bit just to moisten it with compost tea. We're going to water it in with compost tea, which is also an inoculant for all the bacteria, largely bacteria. Voila. It's at least moist. So one of the things is I need to, where's my tea? I brought tea up here. Went all the way down in the basement for aerated tea, or fake tea, since I don't have earthworm castings and all that shit to make fancy tea. The recharge, you don't have a huge pile of compost or vermicompost thing going, so you want Evie to buy it. Shit. The fuck? See, this is what happens when you don't sleep. Can't remember shit. Aha! We got our aerated compost tea here. It's got to be used quickly, so we're going to use it as foliar as well afterwards. I want the peat pot to be covered. It's important that the peat pot not dry out. Very important, because it's got the entire root ball in it right now. It's got to be a mound. It's got to be a mound. The next one's going to go deeper. Playing it deeper, so this isn't an issue. It's been a few years since I did this. As always, the soil is hydrophobic until you saturate it to an extent. So you gotta add it little bits at a time. We definitely want it saturated. Now it has all of the fungus, all the bacteria, all the shit that lives in the roots to make the nutrients available. 4 more to go. And again, I don't need to be fucking rushing it, even though I'm trying to make content about it, and I'm used to trying to keep my pace up with my content. Let's see. Take our butter knife, grab the next one. Yep. Like more than I really need, but I'm so used to coconut coir and just feeding it fertilizer, like chemical fertilizer, that like the whole it needs to have all this living shit in it to uptake nutrients at all. Like, I mean, it'll do it, but yeah. Like the soil started with some mycorrizal inoculant in it already. That's why I got Happy Frog. A lot of people start in Happy Frog. I could have started it in coconut coir, but I would have had to buy fertilizer to go with it. And I don't need to have a whole nother product line for no reason. I already need to spend on organic fertilizer and organic worm castings. It's gonna be like $150, but it's gonna give me like a year's worth. So forget is I need to put some of the tea in the spritzer and do foliar when I'm done with the tea. If I have to go back down and get more tea, I have to go back down and get more tea, because they're no longer in the humidity dome. They're dropping immediately from 99% to I don't even know what it is in the tent right now. So what I'm gonna do before I forget is turn the fan down. Fan to low. They don't need massive circulation just yet. I'm gonna have to put the humidifier and a little fan in here. They need a little fan on them to rustle their stalk a little bit. You don't want them swaying, but you do definitely want them to be moving very slightly in the wind. It causes them to grow more robustly and in multiple ways. Like it makes sure that they're transpiring right. Since they don't respirate, they transpire. They suck water up with low pressure from their root zone. Basically, it's just a wick. So we need to make sure the wicking thing is functional. So I definitely don't need to let these little pots dry out. We're done. These will be fine like this with just a little bit of water, or more likely some of the compost tea I have aerating, or fake tea, what have you, when I'm aerating downstairs. It's called Real Growers Recharge. It's got living shit in it like the compost tea would have, and it's got some kelp and some molasses and shit to feed that life. Exposed, but it does let me saturate it gradually like it needs to be. Fine. This is aerated. Saturating it won't drown it. Having that oxygen in it doesn't just make it that much better for the plant. It definitely makes sure that it's not going to be overwatered or waterlogged. As far as I know, even in soil, your transplant tech is to saturate the soil. In this case with recharge instead of just water. And it's also got some of that biorhizotonic shit in it. So it's got root de-stressor in it, which will allow it to root out more vigorously than it would without. Very good for establishing roots. The whole fucking point here. If I don't establish a proper root ball, all this shit is wasted effort. Soil has shown up. I haven't made the 5-gallon pots. They come as flats and you wrap them around the base. They're just like these, but 5.4 gallons, which is pretty fucking large. I might only be able to fit 4 of them in here. I haven't put them together, so I don't know. But I will take the 4 that have rooted out these pots most vigorously. That's one of the things that these pots allow you to do, is check the root development. You can literally crack the fucking thing open because it was a flat. They've got little screw things. Am I showing up good on the stream with this shit? Is my camera pointed in the correct direction? All that shit. I forgot to hit record too fucking late now, so hopefully they don't fucking eat this VOD like they did the last one. This is why I pre-saturated the soil, so I wouldn't have to sit here and fucking pour compost tea shit on it for Lord knows how fucking long to saturate it. 5 minutes at a time. Thing I need to do before I close up once I'm done is to check the distance of the lights. It shouldn't be too close. I no longer have the fucking user manual for the lights, which would give me the exact distance for seedlings, but if I recall correctly, it's about 32. So if it's a little bit weaker here, that's actually fine. It's better than giving it too much, because light will cause it to try to grow vegetatively. It will cause the little seedling to grow. It won't cause the roots to grow. That's how the auxins work. You're either rooting or vegging, or a little bit of both, but it can only do so much at once. Where's the fucking butter knife? Example, because they're so much smaller and they have exactly the same root development. I'm much more interested in which ones of them root out correctly than I am which ones are larger above ground. It's just not really relevant. They will grow all the above ground vegetative stuff they need, dependent on their root growth. Very light soil. It's definitely something a lot of people use on their seedlings because it won't burn them. And it's a little airier, which again is what we're going for. Build a spritzer. Build the spritzer. I'ma let you know that I never been a scary hoe. Bustin' niggas brain over fucking with my gang. Then keep your ass trained out in the middle of your yard. I'ma pull your car for acting hard down the boulevard. Since I no longer have the humidity dome keeping them nice and theoretically I could probably fit the humidity dome. Yeah, they wouldn't have much room to grow. It would probably help, but I think that the humidifier will be enough. Nope, not soil, not until we make the big ones. One of the nice things about it is there's a lot less the measuring is not like I gotta get 5 milliliters instead of 6 or else I'm gonna burn it. It's it'll buffer itself and all that shit automatically. Definitely want to moisten the plant so that there's no shock. All of this should prevent transplant shock. If I transplant shock it, all of this effort is not completely moot, but yeah. But one of the things that can shock it is it's just too dry in its new environment. Be vigilant with the spritzer for the first bit. Compost tea is supposed to be great. Done. Do is take this out. Get my humidifier. What you do is you leave them on the heat mat.
Look like a clown in that stupid jacket.
They have an air gap at the bottom. The bottom of the pot is not the very bottom. There's a little standoff distance for drainage. One of the other things that's nice about them is the top side does not have holes so that when you water it doesn't just immediately run off. And then they're graduated to be larger to suck that water down. It creates low pressure. Gloves like this. I couldn't find my nitrile sadly, but these little vinyl gloves will do pretty well. Good for at least 1 week, probably 2. Do is continue to apply watering. So we'll see how well I did. Hey Drezzy, it's good to see you. Sorry I'm not where I can look at chat when I'm in the tent. Sorry I missed you. Yeah, so they just made their first transplant. I inoculated them with Mycorrizal. I've got the Real Growers Recharge, which has the bacteria in it. It's faux compost tea that I've applied. Everything's saturated. Everything's misted with compost tea. I can't think of anything else to do. They should be great. Later on, I'll go get my humidifier and shit and put it in the tent. I've already turned the tent down and taken the I've got a this was like, these things are like fucking $30, the good ones. I had a set of 4, should still have a set of 4. They've got nice hygrometers in them, so they tell you your temperature and your humidity very exactly. They're great. Fucking can't live without them. What we're looking for is what's called vapor pressure deficit. So the way that they transpire is, and again, if you can't hear anything because I forgot to switch the mics, sorry about that, just ask. So the way that they transpire has to do, they've got that, so you imagine that inside the vegetative part of the plant, you've got xylem, just like fucking Armored Core 6, the xylem. And the xylem are these little tubes that it uses to wick, like I'm talking about. And so you imagine like a tube, a little straw or whatever, running from each little root to up into a stem, and then it's providing water and nutrients to that stem, at which point that goes back into the air through the stomata, the little holes on the plant, and it's maintaining the proper temperature and humidity that causes them to breathe correctly. So like, it's just very vital during this time period. And now I can actually have a beer and get high if I want to, but I do want to stream, so I got an indica this time. I am not trying to get couch lock while I'm in the middle of trying to stream. I already didn't sleep. So yeah, hopefully it doesn't eat the fucking VOD, so I can actually clip this into a technique. Like I can put it on my Grow Journals page, right? Like I can save the clip or make a highlight and then save it as an MP4 and upload it to Grow Diaries, and take a picture of the little ones and make my germination week post. You know, detailing the medium and the, you know, the recharge and all that shit. Yeah, indica definitely has a lot more propensity to have the munchies, and I don't need that right now. I've gone down from 210 to 203 to 198 to 192. So I'm at 192 right now, like over the course of like 3 or 4 weeks. So like, I got indica specifically because I don't have enough fucking nerve pain medicine to make it to Thursday when I had the appointment with the doctor, who's all blindsided by my fibromyalgia and shit. And I feel bad for her because, you know, it's like, I get it, you know, drug-seeking people exist, but, you know, I'm used to being treated with dignity and respect wherever I go. In fact, I demand it. You know, I feel like everybody should. And like, you know, they treated me real fucking weird, like I'm like I just made this up on the spot to try to get dope or something. It's like, no, if I don't have the, like, so like I was explaining to my roommate, like before they prescribed me the Lyrica in like 2005, like my pain onset in 2003, as I was 17 years old and a high school senior. I had to quit tennis over it, and you know, it went from a backache to worse and worse and worse. And by that point in 2005, when they prescribed me the Lyrica, I was like, I had been sleeping a max like between 45 and 90 minutes for 5 months. Now, like as an adult, without my parents to help me take care of my medicine and food and shit, you can't do that shit because you'll accidentally turn on the gas stove and forget, or like people literally walk out into traffic or take their medicine 2 or 3 times. Like, I am not scared of hurting. I've hurt more than I haven't in life. You know, I've had this stuff for over half my life. I am afraid of not sleeping. You can't think, and that's its own type of like death, right? Sorry, I covered chat. Let's see if I can't shoehorn it a little better there. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah. So you can tell how much brighter the fucking light is. I have 2 for when it's flowering, but this will do for now. So before I forget, I need to use the level on the fucking light It relies on fans to be cooled, and it's fan bearings. Like these things, you just leave them running all the time. The fan bearings need to stay good. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. I mean, it's one of the most traumatic things that has happened to me, and I've had a lot of traumatic shit happen to me. Um, get the tape measure. I already got the tape measure out. Yep, it's not level. Distance. Should have done the distance first because if I have to move it, I'll have to re-level it. It's about 30. It's about perfect. Eyeballed that shit. The little T5 that they germinated under. Try to put this somewhere it won't get fucking broken. So I was talking to the people at the dispensary, and oh yeah, no, definitely, chronic pain and chronic stress will deform your brain. Basically, what I'm describing having happened to me has caused my amygdala, which is the, like, among other things, the fight or flight center, fight, flight, freeze center, to enlarge at the cost of my hypothalamus. So I don't wonder why I have terrible anxiety. I know why I have terrible anxiety. Anybody who's gone through what I've gone through will have terrible anxiety. I don't wonder why I don't have a short-term memory, whether I sleep or not. Like, that shit is gone. The organ that I used to use for that shit is completely atrophied to make way for all that fight flight center. And yeah. Um yeah, I mean, again, I did, like, the light thing is just something I've just done so many times. I've done all of this so many times. Just haven't done the living soil part. So I'm very excited to see how that turns out. When I do things new, I try to only do one new thing. You know what I mean? Like like normally that means I have a prior harvest that I can, that's logged its weight for each plant, and I can gauge by that. But even now, like, I definitely don't want to be trying like too much fancy shit. Luckily, I learned all these techniques for a reason, and I've done them so many times. It's like, it's fine. A lot of people just start their stuff in the final planter, especially people who do no-till. And there's a big point to no-till, but I don't think this soil is going to be rich enough to just want to amend it. Like, I would have to test it after I harvest. Like the plants, if I root them out correctly, they will use up a lot of that dirt. Like, I'll knock all the dirt off the root ball when I harvest them, and there won't be fucking any of it left if I do it right. They eat coir. They eat, like, they got enzymes in them. Like, if I had the whole, like, basement full of organic shit, one of the things I would be doing is sprouting certain things, like, I think barley, definitely alfalfa. Alfalfa has a growth regulator in it. And I would be sprouting them to increase their enzymatic activity, and then putting them in a tea. You know, without that, I've got the rhizotonic, which helps a lot. But they make their own enzymes. Like, if there was already roots in the ground, I would definitely want to be adding enzymes to make sure that they get broken down. But I don't think I'm going to be able to reuse this soil. I think I'm going to have to buy another thing of Fox Farms, cut it the same way with coir, buy another $50 thing of living soil the next round. It's still much cheaper, like grand total much cheaper. Um, so, it's like, it's one of those things where if you do it right, every dollar you pay into it, if you're going to be buying cannabis regularly, it will save you $3 in the end. And that's what all the work is for, is so that I actually have medicine, instead of being like, well, I went to this dispensary and got 5 grams this month. Like, the power of the free market, the power of the fact that the dispensaries are taxed at their gross and not at their fucking net. That's ridiculous. These people are operating on extremely slim margins, even with the prices inflated, right? The banks won't work with them. Like, it's a whole fucking thing. Which is why I cover, like, the Schedule 3 shit. Schedule 3 is going to be a big fucking deal. we should know more on that in the next couple weeks. So I was talking at the dispensary to some white dude with dreads who fucking let me into the dispensary because they have to like robbery crew protect their shit. Like they have like an airlock where like there's locked doors with key passes on either side so that nobody can get back there and shit like that. It's fucking it is very unfortunately sketch. It makes me nervous every fucking time. And I was like, yeah. So what I want to do is like, if I'm going to be running the same 400 watts of lights and 50 watts of blower, I want to get the most I can get off those 6 plants. And that means that I'm going to have excess. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is make hash out of that excess because I'm going to be able to have 15 grams of hash, which is maybe an ounce and a half extra. And then gift my roommate 2.5. She can gift me back because he doesn't smoke when I run out, and then everything is kosher. So I can have maybe 6.5 ounces of harvest and still be compliant if I do it right, you know. And so, but I'm capable of growing more than that, particularly like this way. I'm gonna have to be vegging them for 6 to 8 weeks. If I do it right in those 5-gallon containers, there's going to be like a half pound or more. And I would just as soon like let somebody come over and help me trim because I have fucking arthritis. Trimming takes hours every time you harvest so it doesn't fucking grow mold. You got to cut all the fucking leaves off because that's where all the water is. And it's also where like if you use fertilizer, it's where the fertilizer salts are. So you know, the more you cut off of it, the cleaner it is. And so I would just as soon like let someone come over and trim and then give them my excess than fucking destroy it. As long as when they harvest, I get to go over there, help them trim and take like their excess. It's called a grow circle. And like I came up with this, I was like, this just makes sense. And the guy was like, yeah, people do that. People have been doing that for a long time. And it's like, yeah, well, I'm gonna need to like start a fucking next door group or something for this and find some other people who have medical needs. And they're like, I can't afford the fucking dispensary system. And like, these are the type of people I'd just as soon teach as well until they're harvesting enough. And then we're part of the circle, or just teach them to teach them. Right. Like clearly I just believe in this shit. Uh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like specifically like disabled people. Like I would be more than like if I have to choose who it goes to, I would just as soon it go to somebody who's like on disability and can't afford the shit and needs it like I do. Um, but like so I've got Blue Dream, we got Lithium OG Kush, which again is an indica phenotype, but like it's very up. They're both daytime smokes. And this will give me like the bulk. Like, man, when you smoke all day, like to like make yourself not have autistic burnout and shit like that, like you go through a lot of that clear-headed weed just to have the fucking energy to get up and do your shit. And you know, I'll be able to buy indica to supplement it. I would much rather do that than run a mixed crop. Like I could easily just run a mixed crop, but